Hey everybody, today I'm going to be doing a comparison between the two releases that are out of Blue Moon. You have here the new release, always on the left by the way, of Blue Moon, now called Blue Moon Legends, and then the previous release simply called Blue Moon, and right away you can tell that the boxes are considerably different sizes, and that's because for you to have everything that comes in this newer edition, in the previous edition, I would also have to add all of these decks of cards, and even then I would still be a few cards short. And so the first thing is, obviously, that this has everything in it, and the original printing of the game did not. It just had two of the people's decks built into it. As you open up the boxes, the first thing you'll find is the rule books, of course, and now the new one comes with two rule books. It comes with this one called the rule book and then the advanced concepts guide here, whereas the original just had the one booklet. However, they are both very clear. They're both very well done, and so I think as far as comparing this step, while the new one will make it easier for someone to learn, perhaps does have more concepts and does separate some of the more advanced concepts into a separate book, they are both very well done. Digging a little bit deeper, we find that over which we are fighting, the dragons themselves that we are trying to attract to our side and gain their support. The original ones are very well made, nice hardy plastic, but they were all three the same model, as you can see here, in three different colors. Two shades of blue for some reason. They are definitely great, but compared to the new ones, there is simply no contest. These are all three different models. They are still very well made, really solid plastic, and they just look fantastic. They really pop on the table. And while these are really just sort of a fancy scoring, a way to score, they do add a lot of charm and personality to the game, and the new ones, like I said, just blow away the previous models. Here we have the boards for the game. We have the previous printing at the top, the newer printing at the bottom. As you can tell, very, very similar artwork, the same labels on everything. The newer one does have smaller print, which ties into the entire philosophy here is smaller than the first one. You're going to see that in just 1 second when I take a look at the cards themselves. But it's still very clear they've gone in and renamed and cleaned up some of the phases. And so these are numbered now, and their name structure, how they operate, is a little more straightforward, getting the game a little closer to the mentality of collectible card games or living card games than in the original printing. But again, these are very, very similar components. Here are the two decks of cards that came in the original printing of the game. In the box, you had two armies, as the game calls them, peoples. And you had the Hoax, you had the Volca here. And so I found those two decks in the new printing, though the new printing comes with every deck, as I said. And so here you have them. And obviously the very first thing you'll notice is card differences, right? These are tarot sized, these are standard sized, and so you get a lot less space for artwork on the new ones. The text is considerably small. On the original ones, it wasn't that big, but on the new ones, it's even smaller. And I'll just show you a couple of these here so you can get an idea of how much of the artwork sometimes gets cropped and some of the symbology they've put along the sides here. And so this one here says character in much bigger writing there than this one. The numbers are a little more thematic in the original, though now they have a little background behind them. But that should give you an idea. Everything's just been a little bit shrunk, and sometimes parts of the images are missing. You probably wouldn't know if you haven't seen the original ones. Nothing seems out of place, but there is some of that artwork missing. And so, while the quality of the new cards, I would say, is solid, at least on par or superior to the original printing, I do like the original cards better, but I can see why they would have to go with this format for how many cards come in the new printing of the game. So there you go, that's the cards. Just a couple other things I want to show you. In the original printing of the game, if you wanted to get more people's decks here, you'd have to buy them separately. So for example, here we have the Aqua deck, and it would come with its own set of cards. A leader, such as this one here, and 30 cards ready to play right out of the box. And you could deck build with these and all of that stuff, which having more, of course, cards would allow for greater variability there. You can still do all of that deck building, and you get all of these packs in the new printing of the game. And then this here is from the new printing, which was, even in the original rules, they allowed you to play several games in a row and keep score and go to a certain number of these crystals. They were even called crystals in the original game, but they included nothing to keep track of it, and so now you actually get these gems here, these crystals. You can play multiple games in a row, gathering these until someone gets 5. Whoever gets to 5 first, which might take several matches, would be the winner of the campaign if you want to play that way. And then lastly, I just want to show you these cards here, which are promo cards, which were extremely difficult to find for the original printing of the game. They were available, they were promotional cards, but they were really, really hard to get. I think I've only ever been able to acquire one of these. The easiest one to get was this one right here for the original printing, so I was very thrilled to see that these were included in the new game, in Legends. Something they didn't really need to put in there, but it is in there, allows for just completion and a little bit more deck building. And then lastly, this card right here, just another little perk included in the new printing, allows you to flip it to the side in whatever element you're fighting in, fire or earth, as a visual reminder of what you are, what the battle is taking place, in which element that battle is taking place. So that's it. That should give you an idea of the two versions of Blue Moon Legends, the new one, and simply Blue Moon, the original printing. Hopefully, if you have not seen one of these or the other, now you have a little bit more information as to how it changed, and maybe a little insight into perhaps why it changed. So, thanks very much for tuning in, everybody. I'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.